The Dallas Cowboys have kicked off their 2025 season in dramatic fashion. They rebounded from a dicey opening week loss with a thrilling 40-37 overtime win over the New York Giants. It was just crazy, and for NFL fans, it's the kind of win that just forces you to look closer at Dallas's true upside even without Micah Parsons. In this video, I'm not going to hype up the Cowboys because they are what they are and Jerry Jones made the mistakes that he made, but despite a bunch of preseason skepticism, the Cowboys' explosive offense, led by Dak Prescott, who has come off that injury, and the clutch performances from their kicker and Brandon Aubrey, have underlined just how dangerous this roster can be when things are clicking. I think the defense needs some work. There have been some shootouts so far, but even as glaring issues on defense persist, this team has been solid, man, and I think they are a borderline playoff team despite what you may think. So in this video, I want to talk all about the Cowboys win over the Giants. I want to talk about Brandon Aubrey and just how clutch he was. I want to talk about Dak Prescott versus Russell Wilson because their stats were just absolutely absurd. I want to talk about any of the headlines that came from that game, the news, and so much more. Alright, real fast before we continue, I would like to give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video, DraftKings Sportsbook. The season is heating up and every week brings another chance for something wild to happen. And we've got an incredible offer to get you set for all the action this week. Here's how it works. New customers who sign up and bet just $5 will instantly get $200 in bonus bets. It's that simple. Bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. And the only way to unlock that deal is by using my promo code SpencerPremier. DraftKings will keep you locked in all season long, and you can use those bonus bets to create same-game parlays to have a chance for even bigger payouts. And if sports betting still is not available where you live, you can still get in on the action with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports for a shot at real cash prizes. So don't wait around, the next great touchdown is coming. Cash in on this offer by using promo code SpencerPremier. Again, that is $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. And of course, as always, please be sure to gamble responsibly. Big shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook for sponsoring this video and giving this huge offer. Alright, so Dallas's week 2 tilt with the Giants was a statement game for the offense. The unit racked up 523 total yards. I believe that's correct. It might be a few yards off, depending on the site I'm looking at, with Dak Prescott commanding the attack and finishing 38 of 52 for 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. Prescott epitomized the aggressive quarterbacking fans have come to expect at this point, even with that injury last year. He never shies away from the deep ball or tight window throws, even if it risks a turnover, and that approach has brought the Cowboys back in games repeatedly throughout his career, and today we saw a crucial touchdown to George Pickens in the final minute and multiple rope throws into the red zone throughout the game. Again, Prescott is very far from a perfect player. He had that interception, he fumbled a snap in overtime, but he still remains one of the NFL's most aggressive and unafraid quarterbacks. He's willing to test defenses deep to set up Dallas's big play targets in scoring territory, and that mindset honestly has fueled my confidence in the Cowboys as a dangerous sleeper team despite some of the flaws they have and the departures that happened over the offseason, because they still just have so many playmakers that even a few mistakes don't cap their ceiling. Now to talk about Brandon Aubrey. Kickers rarely win games or contribute to winning games single-handedly, but Aubrey is rewriting that script. Against New York, Aubrey hit all 4 of his field goals, including a game-tying 64-yarder as time expired in regulation, and then he won the game with a 46-yard boot in overtime. He also drilled all 4 of his extra points. The game's final sequence made one thing clear. Without Aubrey, Dallas would have lost this game. His consistency is now a defining feature of this team. He routinely delivers in pressure moments. I mean, 64 yards is just ridiculous. It's NFL history. And in NFL terms, that clutch kicking is alien-like, out of this world. Alright, for some of the key moments that really defined this win, I would say in the final minute when Dak Prescott found George Pickens for a clutch touchdown to retake the lead, that was a big moment. And then Russell Wilson immediately hit Malik Neighbors for a 48-yard touchdown, and the Cowboys trailed by 3 with 25 seconds left. That was a big key moment for the Giants. Also, Prescott led a laser-focused drive past midfield to set up Aubrey for the 64-yard field goal to force overtime. There was not a lot of time to work with, so that was impressive. And then in overtime, the Giants opened things up with the ball, but they turned it over. Donovan Wilson had an interception to give Dallas a chance to win, and then Aubrey nailed the game winner from 46 yards out to give Dallas the win. It was just, what a crazy ending. It definitely was the game of the week and could be the game of the year. Not for some of the numbers, some of these players I already talked about, but Dak Prescott was 38 of 52 for 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He made key late game throws and just had an unflinching approach throughout. Brandon Aubrey was of course 4-4 on his field goals, 4-4 on extra points. Javonte Williams had 18 carries and 97 yards with a touchdown. He absolutely powered the ground game. He broke tackles and just kept the offense balanced, and that was really a point of emphasis throughout the offseason. I had no idea how this running back room was going to look, and again, this game doesn't really prove anyone right or wrong because it was the Giants. We'll have to see how this unit plays throughout the season, but it was great to see Javonte have a game like this because he really has struggled over the last few years. Ceedee Lamb had 9 receptions for 112 yards. He did everything you would expect out of your wide receiver one of the best wide receivers in the league. He continues to be a reliable target for Dak, and he rebounded after game 1 where he had those drops that everyone was talking about. Jake Ferguson had 9 receptions for 78 yards. He had some clutch catches throughout the game to extend drives, including a key third down play in the final minute of the game. And then George Pickens, he had 9 targets, several key defensive pass interference penalties that he drew, and then he had that go-ahead touchdown as well. And then Donovan Wilson on defense, he was the one that had the interception to set up the game-winning drive, and he was really the lone bright spot throughout the game from the battered secondary. Alright, now to move on, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about what defensive issues the Cowboys have and what needs to be fixed. Alright, now to change topics, let's kind of talk about the defensive issues and what needs to be fixed. So I think the offense's fireworks kind of covered up a disappointing game by the secondary. The Cowboys defensive backs were lit up for almost 500 passing yards by Russell Wilson, with Malik Neighbors having 9 catches for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a great player, but that's unacceptable. And Wan'Dale Robinson had 142 yards and 1 touchdown with 8 catches. He just repeatedly broke the coverage, and every critical third down seemed to end in a Giants completion, and nearly every DB was beaten, including Trayvon Diggs and Malik Hooker. The run defense was a bit stronger, I guess. They limited the Giants to 84 rushing yards on 21 carries for 4 yards per carry. But again, they didn't have to run the ball. They were just throwing it at will, and they were getting the job done through the air, obviously. And Solomon Thomas and Kenny Clark, they stood out. They stuffed the interior. But without their run stopping, Dallas would likely have been overrun entirely as the game turned into a shootout. But again, despite these defensive struggles, Dallas showcased one of the NFL's deepest and most unpredictable offenses, with Prescott's bold play, a revived run attack, loaded receiving targets, and the league's best kicker in Aubrey. They're simply more dangerous than most people expected, even without Micah Parsons on the team after the first 2 weeks of the season. And I think all these elements, paired with a rapidly evolving offensive identity under new head coach Brian Schottenheimer, makes the Cowboys a clear sleeper in the playoff hunt. Obviously, there's a long way to go. They're going to have to steal some games, but I wouldn't rule them out just yet because they have the offensive firepower. They can put up points with the best of them. The Cowboys have now beaten the Giants 14 times in a row. That is just brutal for New York fans. And they've kept pace with the NFC East, even though I know it is early, but every single win counts. We know that, especially when you get to week 17, when usually the last game kind of decides who makes it, who doesn't for those borderline teams, and a lot of times it's based on head-to-head and stuff like that. So to get such a dramatic win like that, it has already changed the narrative around this team. Now for some news going on with this team following this week 2 win. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about this. It's about 2 days late, but Jerry Jones announced that Dallas will be signing Jadeveon Clowney to reinforce the pass rush, and the contract is being described as cheap and team friendly, and Clowney instantly adds depth and experience that should help on obvious passing downs, though he's not expected to be an instant fix for the defense. He probably won't even play most downs. And the secondary is still the most pressing concern, and further moves may be needed, whether it's a trade or picking somebody else up. But I like Jadeveon Clowney. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. He played for us a few years ago. Unfortunately, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. Sorry, I needed to throw that in there because it is brutal being a Cleveland fan. I honestly wish I was a Dallas fan. I know that might shock you guys, but wow, it's rough out here, man. They might go 0-17. I'm not even going to lie. But getting back on track, Clowney's a solid player. I know he's getting up there in age, but when you think of Clowney, you think of that college, here comes the boom play. He's a good player overall. I think he's going to help this team in many ways. Injury-wise, Kevontae Turpin suffered a neck injury on a kick return and did not finish the game, while rookie Cooper Beebe left overtime with a right ankle sprain. Both absences impacted the offensive rhythm and the kicking team, and the Cowboys may have to work in Brock Hoffman at center if Beebe misses time. That's really all I got for this video, though. There's not too much more to take away. This was a great win. The defense needs to tighten up. The Cowboys are now 1-1. Going into week 3, it's going to be a big, important game because the difference between 2-1 and 1-2 it's honestly astronomical. But yeah, if you made it to this point, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. Let me know what you would like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.